We often find ourselves wondering if there's a doppelganger out there somewhere in the world. Occasionally, people stumble upon theirs, and the revelation can be astonishing. For two minor league baseball players, the surprise was even greater. Not only did they look alike, but they also shared the same name. The mystery of their true identities and origins could only be unraveled through one method, a DNA test. You won't believe what they discovered. This story begins with the birth of Brady Feigl. Actually, it starts with the birth of two Brady Feigls. Brady Gregory Feigl was born on November 27, 1995, in Missouri, and he led a fairly typical life before moving to Mississippi to play college baseball. Interestingly, another Brady Feigl had already been born on December 27, 1990, in Maryland, Brady Matthew Feigl. He also enjoyed a normal childhood and pursued his baseball dreams in college. Little did anyone know how closely their lives would mirror each other. As both Brady Feigls grew up and played college baseball, they began to make names for themselves on their respective teams. After graduation, Brady Gregory Feigl joined the Oakland Athletics affiliate, the Single at Beloit Snappers, while his unknown counterpart, Brady Matthew Feigl, was also making strides, heading to the Texas Rangers AAA affiliate, the Round Rock Express. Both were establishing impressive careers, unaware that they shared a name. When you see the two Brady Feigls side by side, they appear nearly identical, and their similarities go beyond looks. Both were selected as pitchers by their teams, and they share the same hair color, bushy beard style, and glasses. Remarkably, they are both exactly 6'4" tall. At times, it can be challenging to distinguish between the two doppelganger baseball stars, as they look so alike. However, there is one key difference between them. Can you guess what it is? That's right, the two Bradys are left-handed and right-handed, respectively. Brady Matthew is left-handed, while Brady Gregory throws with his right. This is one way to tell them apart if you ever see them on the field. Considering all of this and looking at their pictures, it's astonishing to think that these two Brady Feigls were growing up and living remarkably similar lives without knowing the other existed. Outside of my family, I didn't think there were any other Feigls. Both of them said verbatim in an interview with Inside Edition. Things were just getting creepier and creepier, as if it wasn't weird enough that these two players had the same name, face, beard, and career. But things got even crazier when they ended up with the exact same injury and needed surgery. Both Feigls suffered UCL tears in their elbows and needed to have surgery to fix it. And what doctor did they go to? You guessed it, they went to the same one. Little did they know that this doctor's appointment would change their lives forever. As both Feigls realized they needed surgery on their elbows, they headed to the same doctor, the famous and internationally respected orthopedic surgeon, Dr. James Andrews. But wait, it gets even weirder. Not only did they have the same injury, the same surgery, and the same surgeon, but they also underwent the surgery within 6 months of each other. You might wonder how they managed to get in and out without noticing each other. But the truth of how they found out about each other is even crazier. It's pretty amazing that these two identical-looking baseball stars with the same name headed to the same doctor for the same surgery on the same injury, and they didn't even come across each other. But as fate would have it, it was a tiny administrative mishap in the doctor's office that would end up shining a light on this crazy coincidence and changing both of their lives forever. It was the doctor's receptionist who ended up calling one Brady, but actually got through to the wrong one. Can you imagine receiving a call from the doctor's office about a recent procedure, hearing your name, only to realize they're not talking about you? That's exactly what happened to Brady Gregory Feigl. He got a call about his surgery 6 months after it had taken place. I was probably 6 or 7 months post-surgery, he recalled. Their office called our trainer and asked, "When's Brady reporting for surgery? Is he coming in tomorrow?" The trainer replied, "He had it 6 months ago." "What are you talking about?" That's how I discovered there were two of us. Here's where things get even crazier. After all this time, with so many wild coincidences, the two Bradys finally found out about each other. But in reality, they weren't even that interested. Even though to the rest of the world they looked exactly the same, the two Bradys knew their own faces so well that they could easily see a few differences. They were slightly curious about each other, but they didn't think it was that big of a deal. But they had no idea what was about to happen. Even though the two baseball players didn't think it was that interesting that they had so many similarities, it soon became clear that the rest of the world felt quite differently. Everyone who watched the games, fans, critics, and media pundits, was amazed by the uncanny resemblance between the two Brady Feigls. The confusion grew as fans began messaging the wrong Feigl on social media, fueling even more public interest in these mysteriously identical baseball players. At first, the mix-ups happened mostly online, but soon real-life encounters added to the spectacle. Fans would approach them at events asking for autographs, only to realize they had mistaken one for the other. "He has a perfect game card," Brady Matthew recalled. "I'm always like, yeah, it's not me. I'm sorry. I can't sign it." They're like, "Can you still sign it?" I'm like, "No, I'm sorry. It's not my card." As interest in the two Feigls grew, Inside Edition invited them for an interview. When they appeared together for the first time, the public was amazed and couldn't believe they weren't related. Their story quickly gained national attention, sparking questions about how two unrelated men could share the same name and look so alike. In response to the buzz, Inside Edition offered the Feigl twins a DNA test, which they both agreed to. While the world was eager for answers, the twins were less invested. They believed they weren't related but were curious about their ancestry. Brady Gregory thought his roots were German, while Brady Matthew was open to learning more. After years of confusion and speculation, the long-awaited DNA test results were finally in. The two Feigl twins sat down to read them. Brady Gregory went first and found exactly what he had suspected: 53% German ancestry. Then Brady Matthew checked his own results. To his astonishment, he was also 53% German. Yet the question remained: did this mean they were related? With their long list of eerie similarities, it was time to answer the biggest question: were they actually brothers? They took a deep breath and looked at the final results. It turned out they shared no DNA at all. The revelation shocked fans and media worldwide. Even the Feigl twins, who had initially dismissed the idea, began to wonder if they could be long-lost siblings. Faced with undeniable proof, they were surprised by the outcome, but the public refused to accept it. Many believed there had to be more to the story, questioning how two unrelated men could look and act so similarly. Despite their earlier confidence, the twins felt a sense of disappointment. The possibility of finding a long-lost brother had begun to feel real, and now it was gone. Imagine finding someone who looks exactly like you and shares the same name, height, and career. Surely, you would feel like you found a family member in them, even if not technically. And that's exactly how the two of them felt. "We're still brothers in a way," said Brady Matthew. Even though the two Brady Feigls were disappointed that they didn't turn out to be brothers, they accepted the results and remained friends. However, their fans were not as accepting. Many were convinced there had been a mistake, flooding social media with discussions insisting that the two must be related. Even with doubts, their story shows the amazing idea of doppelgangers. Many people hope to find someone who truly understands them, and for the Brady Feigls, it felt like they had found that connection. It makes you wonder, how many people might have an identical twin out there without knowing? Although they didn't find a real family link, the Feigl twins share a special friendship. Still, fans and the media think there's more to their story. Some wild theories suggest one Feigl traveled back in time, while others want another DNA test because these tests can sometimes be wrong. Even identical twins can get different results. This has led many to think the Feigl twins should look into their family history to see if they have a distant connection. However, getting them to explore this further is tough. The Feigl twins have moved on and don't feel the need to go through the testing again. Whether they feel a strong enough bond already or don't want to face disappointment again, they prefer to focus on their careers. While some fans insist there must be a connection, others agree with the Feigl twins and think they aren't really related. Some even say that when you look closely, the two don't look as alike as people first thought. Maybe their similar beards and glasses make them seem more alike than they are. As public figures, the Feigl twins have faced a lot of attention about their looks. Some fans went too far with their comments. One YouTube user bluntly said they had different facial features, reducing their similarities to just red hair, beards, and glasses. Others, however, enjoyed the coincidence and admired their shared traits despite their differences. Like many viral stories, some people dismissed the whole situation, questioning why it got so much attention. One commenter sarcastically suggested they could have figured out if they were twins just by comparing birthdays, missing the main point. No matter what people think, the story of the two Brady Feigl twins has fascinated baseball fans and genealogy lovers alike. Finding a doppelganger is rare, but these two embraced it and formed a unique bond. Will you ever find your identical look-alike